So let's say good morning to Prime Minister John Briceño.
Prime Minister, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Rene, Troy, good morning. Again, thanks for the invite. And before Rene goes on the offensive, you said it, best defense is an offense. You have been inviting me, but I've been busy with work and
Okay.
also I wanted to make
I'm glad you straightened that, Prime Minister, because we have always invited you on your local. Go ahead.
I have been, but not of late. But it's simply because I didn't want to be on a back and forth, with especially with the what we're attempting to try to get the unions on board is to or the government employees as to what we are attempting to do in trying to fix the financial situation. So I felt it was best that back and forth publicly, but that we can sit down and try to speak rationally on the things that we're attempting to do. But gentlemen, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and certainly a privilege to be on Love FM, in your morning talk show. And it is hard work to be there every morning, trying to keep the country informed. So thanks, gentlemen. I think we don't fully appreciate the amount of work that you guys do. But muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement.
Thank you.
All right, Troy, you want to through the first question and then I...
Sure. Well, Prime Minister, again, good morning. And certainly it's been a little bit over 5 months since the general election and your government has been in power. Give us a little synopsis, maybe we could start there in terms of what you started out with and what your expectations were and what it actually turns out to be when you actually got there November the 11th, to kind of give a sort of snapshot and lay the groundwork for going forward hereafter.
Sure. I mean, we were very excited about getting into government, that the people have given us their confidence to come in and fix what has been going wrong, and then also then to move the country forward. We knew that the financial situation would have been bad. What we could not have predicted and how bad it would have been, because the previous government did not give access on information. A lot of the information was filtered, and until now that we got a true picture of what is in front of us, we realized that how bad, how dire things are. And on top of that, as you know, the week after we got elected, we had these floods, these historic floods, the floods that we have not seen in about 100 years in Belize. And we also had the issue of COVID. COVID was raging from September. You see the numbers going up. And by October, it was going up exponentially. And so that by the middle end of November, December, we were already at over 5,000. And we knew that we could do everything we want on the economy and trying to open up, but if we do not address COVID, we will not be able to do anything. So we had all these, what you call a perfect storm. But we did not cry foul. I mean, we were elected to work. And so since day one, we have been a government that has been working every single day. Many times we work from Sunday to Sunday. But we still find it exciting. We still find it rewarding to be able to address these issues that needs to be addressed. So we're doing as best as we can. We're reaching out to everyone. We're reaching out to the public service, to our public service, to our public officers. We're reaching out to the NGO community, to the churches, to the private sector, to everyone. Because you know what, guys? All of us are in this same boat. Is this boat sail, which we believe will happen, all of us will benefit. If this boat sink, all of us are going to get hurt.
Prime Minister, but the boat can't sail properly if you have the unions and which are a large quantity of Belizeans, and who a lot of them are public officers who work for the government, annoyed and not, for example, paddling the boat in the direction that you would like for it to be paddled. So it's like a fight against your own self, basically, having people coming from inside and working against you. So they are demanding certain things, like they're demanding good governance, they're demanding UNCAC, they're demanding certain issues that you have promised to address. So you need to speak and to that, because we cannot sail, like you are optimistically saying, if we have someone not on board with you. All of us have to be on board. You can't be somewhere. So can I get your
Well,
comment?
again, I don't want to have a back and forth about the unions. Honestly, I don't want to have a back and forth about them. I sincerely believe that the majority of the teachers are with us. The majority of the public officers are with us. Even the leaders, when we talk to them one-on-one, they understand what is it that we are doing. When we started the discussion with them, it was never about the implementation of UNCAC. And we need to also explain that UNCAC is not a law. UNCAC is a convention that we signed to the United Nations. It's a United Nations Convention against corruption, and that the government will take certain actions. Now, the previous government signed on to UNCAC after I was the first one that went to the House and challenged them to sign on, and they signed on, but hardly anything happened. Now, here we come with a few members of the union. All of us would say, well, if you're not doing UNCAC, we don't want to talk about nothing. I mean, let's be reasonable, man. We have committed. It is in Plan Belize. We have tabled a resolution spelling out all that we're going to do. But as I said, as we came in, we can't look more laws right now. When we get in November, when people are flooded out, fields are underwater, people needed to get help to get out. After that, we have to look after the issue of COVID, which thankfully we brought down the curve. And then right after that, when we finish that and started to look at the financial situation, we have a financial crisis in front of us. We could pass the most prettiest of laws this country could have ever had, or any country could ever have. But if we don't have money to pay the public officers, if we, God forbid, go have a devaluation, all of that is meaningless. We need to have a grip of the financial crisis that we are facing. People don't understand. This financial year that is ending at the end of this month, the government borrowed $370 million more than was approved. In the last two budgets, the then Prime Minister borrowed $700 million to pay its recurrent expenditures. That means that we do not have enough money to pay salaries. We don't have money to pay fuel. We don't have money to run the government. And that is what we have been explaining to you. And they know it, because they are the ones that are seeing there, are inside looking at the numbers. They know how the government has been going almost hand to mouth, borrowing almost $1 million a day. And now all of a sudden they say, if we don't pass that, we don't even want this. It doesn't matter what we pass right now if we do not take care of this financial crisis. But let me tell you something. In their last letter, they told us that they are giving us 3 to 6 months of implementing the Unjust Enrichment Act, the recovery of assets, and so forth. 3 to 6 months. And we said yes. Now that we say yes, now they say, well, we want it immediately. How can we do it immediately? They gave us in writing, gentlemen, that they're giving us 3 to 6 months to do it. And now they said they want it right now. They're not being reasonable. But what happened before with Mr. Barrow is that whenever the union shout about corruption, they get a raise. And then they calm down, the union, and say, all right, well, we'll start to work on it. Nothing happens. They speak out again, they get another raise. That's the strategy that Barrow did quite effectively with the unions. Now, here we are being honest with the unions. We have shown them the numbers. We are not hiding the numbers from them or from anybody. And we're saying, listen, we need you to help us. We are partners in this. 65,000 people lost their jobs. And I understand the difficulty that the teachers and our public officers will be going through with a 10% cut. I understand it. But if we don't have the money to give them, what is it that we can't continue to print money? We need to think about those 65,000 people that have nothing. They got nothing. Yet, the government workers and the teachers, all through this pandemic, they got paid. On Sunday, I went to a little restaurant right in front of, as you come in, by what you call Jim School Put, you know, when you cross the toll bridge.
Familiar with that one.
Right, you're familiar, yes. And the owner, the young lady of the business, someone that I know for many, many years, and she was telling me, he said, "Oh, John," he said, I finally managed to open up. He said, for 1 year, I don't make $1. 1 full year. He said, we've opened up 2 weeks ago, and we're only open for the weekend, and whatever money we make, we put it up. We need to reinvest it right now. We need to reinvest it trying to get back on our feet. Those are also the people that suffered most than our public officers. I am not picking a fight with the public officers. I want to make it clear. They are our partners. We, all of us, have to paddle in the same direction. But like in everything, I mean, every captain will tell you in a ship, when you have a big crew, there are going to be some that say, well, we don't agree the direction the captain wants to go. And so then, as a captain, since we're using the issue of a boat or a ship, we have to sit down with them and continue to dialogue with them and to convince them on moving forward. And we believe we're going to get there. As I said, I am convinced that the majority of the public officers and the teachers understand what we're trying to do. And despite the fact that that is going to hurt them, it's better to get 90 and to get 0. And I believe that that's what we're attempting to do.
In tandem to build up that level of trust and confidence, it has been reported that you all as ministers and representatives, as well as some of the senior officers as well, have taken a cut as well. So maybe you could speak a little bit about that and about the depth of that cut.
Well, we were the first one that in December, when we inaugurated this new government, when we took office or the oath of office as representatives, I immediately announced that we are going to take a 10% salary cut. Even before we met with the unions and talked about a salary cut, we immediately announced because we knew how dire things are. One. Secondly, as you all know, there was a shortage of vehicles. Most of the vehicles were sold off. And so we were scrambling, trying to find vehicles for the new government, for the ministers and CEO, because it's a part of the work that we have to do. Then, when we realized that there are not enough vehicles, we also recognize that we are in a financial crisis, and we just can't go on and buy a whole new fleet of vehicles. So we decided that we will tell some of them, listen, if you have a vehicle, but we use your vehicle. I'll give you fuel, I'll give a fuel allowance every month for the vehicle. I am using my personal vehicle. I could have insisted as Prime Minister and said, no, I want my vehicle. But I know how bad things are. Almost half of the cabinet is using their own vehicles. They're saying that, oh, we buy a lot of vehicles and vehicles and vehicles. I mean, one of the members of the opposition even said that we spent $20 million in vehicles. We bought 13 vehicles so far. 5 for ministers and 8 were vehicles that were already in the works for the police and for the Ministry of Health. So that's the first thing. So we can't buy a lot of vehicles. We just buy what we absolutely needed. We fix up some of them when they're up there. We patch them up and change tires and so forth so that we have vehicles that could at least be roadworthy. Then we said, okay, when it comes to the salary, we said, okay, we have to cut the salary. So we made a 10% salary cut. When we met with the unions, they said, well, fair, we don't need to do more. So then we done. We never said, well, when you accept we want to do this, we immediately said, all right, we are going to take a 15% salary cut and 50% cut in the in the other payments that we get as part of, so we've done all of that. We are doing our part as best as we possibly can, because we fully realize and recognize that there is a problem, there's a crisis, and it has to be addressed by all of us.
Prime Minister, it is said, I've heard it being said all the time that this crisis was caused by the previous government, and you inherited basically an unhealthy situation economically and where the country is concerned. But at that time too, you were in opposition, and in our system, the opposition is a part of the government and is there to hold the government accountable. Could you speak as to how much did you actually know, how much was hidden from you, and why when you were the opposition party, weren't the alarm bells sounded loudly and clearly so that we could know what was going on with the previous administration?
Well, every budget debate, we used to point out the deficits or the issues in the budget, and we constantly tried to let people understand the issues that were confronting us. But we had no access to information. We had no access, unlike right now, everything that we do is leaked out. And it's leaked out not because we're doing anything wrong, it's done maliciously by certain members in the government. What has happened is that the UDP had 13 years and they had placed some of their agents in areas, in their strategic areas, so that whatever is done is being leaked out. But we were calling out the government on the issues of corruption, and whenever we knew what was going on, but we did not have the actual evidence in our hands. So we knew that things were bad, but we did not realize how bad it was, that we were borrowing almost $1 million a day. That was never brought to our attention. It was not brought to our attention that in the last two budgets, we had to borrow $700 million just to pay the recurrent budget. Remember, the former Prime Minister, spent a lot of money, unauthorized monies. Remember, we took him to court, and he was found guilty for spending over $1.5 billion. And even despite the fact that there was a judgment against him, he continued spending without getting approval from Parliament. And so we're going to be addressing those issues, but now we did not have it there. But now that we have it, now we fully understand and can comprehend and appreciate how bad things are.
You're going back to the impasse, right? If it's not solved in some win-win fashion or some way or form, it is like we will lose even more, because public officers are responsible for collecting revenues and for making sure that what is due to the government is received by the government. They are the ones that actually do the work. And this impasse really will lead to a further drain on the revenues of the country if it's not solved. Is there a way forward in solving it? How do you see it? What do you see happening?
Well, I don't think we could negotiate with the union on your talk show. I mean, and I say that respectfully. But everything that the union have asked of us, we have given them. Everything. We have told them we have accepted the UNCAC, the formal adoption, and that we're going to pass the unjust and criminal enrichment laws and the whistleblower legislation. We said that we're working on a campaign finance framework. We said that we're going to protect employees that are earning $12,000 or less. As I said, we've already said the 15% cut in our salaries and 50% allowance. We offered them, we said, since we're cutting your salary by 10%, all right, work 10% less time. So I said, we're going to take away 4 hours. And they said they don't want 4, they want 5 hours. They want to work 9 to 5. And we said, fine, okay, we're going to accept that. So we've accepted that. We've worked, I met with the Central Bank board and asked them for an extension of the forbearance to the commercial banks. So for loans for a full year. And that's going to benefit all government employees and teachers and everybody in this country, to expend that forbearance for up to at least the end of the year. We said we're going to remove the stamp duties and the penalties for certain mortgage transaction for the public officers and the teachers. So if they are with Bank One in Bank A and they want to go to Bank B or want to go to the DFC or go to the National Bank because they could get better terms, we're saying we're going to remove the stamp duty charges, we're going to remove the penalties. We've offered that to them. We've set up a special window, about almost $5 million, that public officers can go to the DFC or to the National Bank to refinance their loan. We've negotiated a special data package for teachers. We've agreed to have a representation from the NTUCB on the board of the National Bank of Belize. We've agreed to have a joint operating group between union and government for us to be able to, every 6 months, to sit down and evaluate the state of the public finances. We said we don't. So everything that they have asked, we've agreed to. Everything. The only thing we're telling them we're holding on for is that we can't move from the 10%. Gentlemen, I think you guys know me fairly well enough. I am not this kind of mean person. I say, oh, I just want to go and take with people's salary or cut their salary just because we bad or we could do it. But that was the last thing that we wanted to do. If it would have left up to us, we'd want to increase their salaries. But the truth of the matter is that we simply cannot afford it. We don't have the money. This new financial year, we're still going to be short of over 90 million, almost $100 million short to be able to pay salaries and to pay for the light bill and pay the rent. We still have to borrow to be able to pay our salaries after putting that 10% cut. So we're doing as best as we possibly can, and I hope that the unions would understand that we are being honest with them. We're not pandering to them. We're telling them the God honest truth as to what is in front of us, and that we are prepared to work with them, and that we fully recognize that we cannot continue to run the government the way the UDP ran it for the past 13 years.
Okay. Prime Minister, with that note, we need to take a break here. And so we will take a break, sir, and we'll be right back and continue our discussion.
Warm and mostly dry conditions will prevail. The 24 forecast is for sunny skies with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Little or no rainfall is expected. Winds will be from the east to southeast at 10 to 20 knots, producing light chop sea conditions. High temperatures will be about 88 Fahrenheit along the coast, 96 Fahrenheit inland, and 81 Fahrenheit up in the hills. Tonight, temperatures will be around 81 Fahrenheit over the coast, 72 Fahrenheit inland, and 66 Fahrenheit up in the hills. A high tide will occur at 18 minutes after 10 this morning, and low tide will occur at 5:38 this evening. The sun will set at 12 minutes after 6, and the moon will rise at 11 minutes after 8 tonight. The outlook for Thursday and Thursday night is for hot and mostly dry weather, with the chance of afternoon thunderstorms over the mountains. In the sargassum forecast, the chances of sargassum affecting coastal areas will remain high during the next few days. In the fire forecast, the risk for bush and forest fires remains high. With that, we conclude this morning's weather report and forecast produced at the National Meteorological Service.
Love Television, in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, presents the We Love Agric Virtual Show. Get ready to be entertained with performances from some of your favorite Belizean artists. Relive those exciting agricultural games, and even though we won't be at the showgrounds, you can still win prizes with our giveaways. We'll also take a look at the hardworking farmers and individuals in the agriculture sector and salute their diligent work. And what's Agric without amazing deals? Our correspondents will let you know what are some of the hottest weekend deals from around the country. Join us on April 29th and April 30th for the We Love Agric Virtual Show, and let's create more memories for the Agric Weekend.
Good morning, Belize, and good morning. I say good morning, Belize, and good morning. And how are you this morning?
Get up every morning, like go to work from day till night. Get up every morning, like go to work from day till night.
It's now 17 minutes to 8 o'clock, las 8 de la mañana menos 17 minutos y su piquito aquí en nuestros estudios. Buenos días, Belize, and gracias por escoger el amor. Thanks for choosing love. My goodness, try a
Yes.
race like that. No, I know what I read. I could continue.
I'm getting tired for you.
Well, we are honored to have Prime Minister John Briceño as our guest today. You know, Prime Minister, I really want you in the studio,
All
Prime
the way
Minister.
from Sugar City.
Yes.
I
but
really
if you
wanted
have
you in the
gone,
studio.
I would have gone.
Huh?
You tell me you want, as if you'd have asked me to go to your studio, or I've been happy to be there in your studio.
Well, Prime Minister, let's do this let's do this opening right now. Kindly come to the studio the next time, sir, and it could be
I will
tomorrow,
happily
and it
do
could be
so.
next week, it could be whenever you got the time, sir. Right?
I will do so.
I got your
But
seat
I just
right
want to
over your
finish
field.
off one more thing, one more issue very quickly.
Yes, Prime Minister.
And that is the issue again about the salaries. And some of them are saying, well, then we should take no salary. If we were to give up all of our salary, that not even address 0.001% of the problem that we're facing. So it's not about our salary; it is about combined what we do.
Yeah.
I know the other time the union said, the media one time they asked me, they said, well, would you take a 75% cut like what St. Lucia was, ministers were saying that they were going to do? And I said, well, if that would help, of course I would, but that's not enough. But what they did not ask me, because I read the article afterwards, is that in St. Lucia, they are thinking about cutting salaries by 50% for their employees, government employees. And I mean, obviously that would be ridiculous for us in Belize. We can't do that. The point is that just looking at one thing would not be enough. Gentlemen, the adjustments that we're trying to do is not only about salaries. I mean, salaries is only representing 20 cents of every dollar that we're cutting. We're removing $5 million from pensions, $78 million from goods and services, $78 million from goods and services, $27 million from subsidies and transfers, and $53 million from debt servicing. So we have to share the pain. We have to share the pain. So we have to make sure that we can fix this country. Belize has the highest public sector salaries to GDP in the entire region of the Americas and the Caribbean. Unfortunately, we have hired too many people, and that is what the IMF has been telling us. The IMF, you know what the IMF was telling us? You need to reduce the amount of public officers. He said by 3,000.
No.
How could I, in good conscience, let go 3,000 public officers when there's no jobs out there? 65,000 people lost their jobs. Tens of thousands more right now are working for less money, but they rather get 75 cents out of every dollar than to get zero. I know some people are saying, some officers, they say, well, fire them, public officers. Let them go as long as it's not them. But we can't do that. We are a government that wants to work for everybody and wants to fix the problems. But the only way we could do it if there is shared sacrifice amongst everyone.
Indeed. Prime Minister, before we move off the union issue, because we certainly want to get into growing the economy and expanding the country's wealth to how we move from where we are to prosperity. But the issue of the advertisement, which the media itself here we are come under attack, that running ads and different things that purportedly, and I think this has been clarified now by the press office that it's not being done by the government. Any passing views on the situation where the union is, and then we can move on to other more progressive items that I'm sure you want to talk about.
I have no idea how the unions can from us as a party putting on ads to present our views can be viewed as union busting. You know, when one of their members went out there and made all kind of crazy allegations about the government and about us and that we're selling assets, which, by the way, we've only sold 2 handguns that were found. Nothing. The planes are still there. We haven't sold a single car. We don't sell nothing. But yet we sell our assets. Again, that's another big lie. We were quiet for a very long time. And then a lot of our people are saying, listen, people need to listen to hear the other side of the story. What is it that you're doing? We're not attacking individuals. We are just presenting the position from our end as a party and for and on behalf of the government. That's how we're doing. So I don't see how that could be union, but that is part of the democratic process. We did not go and say, the unions can't go and talk about anything that we're doing. At the end of the day, we're still partners. When we get over this, we will still have to be working together. And that is why we have been measured in what we are doing and what we are saying. We have to be measured. We are in this together. The public officers, when they mention about how we have to go and collect those unpaid taxes, it's not the ministers or the politicians that collect it, it's the public officers. And I want to challenge any public officer right now to say that I have directed them not to collect from anybody. They are the ones that have to go out and collect this money. It's not us, the politicians.
Indeed.
Prime Minister, the union has claimed that your administration has hired unnecessary people, I mean, in various different positions. Is that so, Prime Minister? What are your comments on that? Have you hired people you don't need? Or
that's absolutely not true. We have been...
Sir?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We're hearing you.
I said that is absolutely not true. We have been measured in the people that we've been hiring. Measured. In most instances, we've been replacing people. Now, some people have left. Like after every election, there are a number of people that leave with their ministers and with their government, and those are the people that we have been replacing. We have not been opening up new posts. We're not just being hiring. Again, the union say these things without evidence. Of course, of the 15,000 there, I'm sure you could find 1 or 2 person or a person just come in. But that's not the same as saying that we just hire people like we're crazy or just buying vehicles and selling assets. Every time they say that, we have shown that that is not the truth. That we have been measured in what we're doing. We're trying not to spend government's money because we know that we don't have them. Yeah. So I would challenge the government, the unions. Of course, they could come with 1 or 2 persons, and I'm not going to say about that. What I could tell them that we have not been going out on a spree and just hiring people because we want to hire people. We have been replacing positions, and still to this day, there are still many positions that have not been replaced. I'll just give you one quick example. For instance, here in Orange Walk, the demo position that was left by Elodie Aragon. To this day, we have not rehired somebody to do that, to take on that position, and we have to, because I mean the hurricane season is upon us next month. Yeah. So, again, not true.
Okay. The commissioner inquiry, Prime Minister, there was a sort of snafu that occurred with it at the last hearing, Will this continue? Will it continue, or is there any discussion going forward as to where this is going?
I hope that there is that we continue. I called the president of NTUCB privately, and I apologized to him that that was uncalled for. That was not something that we support. When his mic was muted, so I have apologized to him. One media host on that day when I was out here busy working in my area in New York Central, and I just spoke to him over the phone and said, please, that's not us, and I apologize. This is a very important work. And again, if the unions, they are serious about wanting to get down to the issue of corruption, then you can't get the only when it benefit you. I am appealing that they should continue, and I think they said that they are going to continue to participate in this commission.
Okay, and there's still a push in the area of asset recovery. We believe has been alleged that quite a number of wrongs may have occurred during the last administration. Is there still that appetite to be able to proceed to do asset recovery or probably even prosecute persons who may have wronged the nation? Is there such an appetite?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. I know that people are clamoring, well, arrest nobody yet. No, we don't live in a dictatorship where we could just go and pick up a previous minister and we say, oh, you corrupt. We have to get the evidence. And to get the evidence takes time. We have to make sure that whenever we do go to court, we have a strong case. As you all know, the Minister of Infrastructure Development, when he got in there, and some of the more glaring things that came to his attention was that was the issue of government equipment, bulldozers, graders, trucks, pickups, supplies, diesel, employees. It is alleged that they were working for the previous minister. And he took his time and got all the information and the evidence. He got a lawyer to advise him how to properly compile it. And that has gone to the police. The police had to do further investigation. And after they finally finished, they sent it to the DPP's office. Now we've just been informed now that the DPP, after reviewing the matter, have sent it back to the police for some more information, and we are in that process. I use that as an example just to point out that it is a tedious process. That if we want to make sure that we could hold anybody responsible, we need to make sure that we have the proper evidence. We have to properly document it. So, and this was a more obvious one where the equipment was found in the former minister's farms. So, I want to assure Belizeans that anybody that's found, that we find the evidence of the actual wrongdoing, because it's one thing to speculate, the other thing is to be able to have the evidence that would stand in court. We are going to take them to court. We are going to pass the unjust enrichment law. We're about to set up a new integrity commission, and we're going to give them more help or more resources, so that then they could do actual more in-depth investigations as to the submissions that the former government has put in and the present government, and wherever there is wrongdoing, that we are going to make sure that we can get a case against them. That is why we have committed that we are going to pass the legislation that the unions are clamoring about. That we're going to pass the issue on the unjust criminal enrichment laws and the whistleblowers legislation and the asset recovery. We're going to do all of that. And once we do that, then we're going to have the tools to be able to go after some of the people. And it's not only ministers; it's also members of the public service or ex-members of the public service that were involved. We're looking at the I'm trying to find the right word, the unexplained lifestyle legislation. I don't know if that is the exact way you explain it. But if you know you're only getting $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and then we see the kind of lifestyle that you have, that will allow us to be able to investigate these individuals. So we are totally committed to trying to fix what has gone wrong, to try to hold the persons that broke the law responsible. But once we do that, what is even just as important is how we're going to move this country forward, how we're going to get out of this fiscal crisis. How is it that we're going to protect these 15,000 jobs? How is it that we're going to protect the peg or dollar that $2 billion to $1? We cannot afford a devaluation. So that means that we have to work with the private sector. It's about working with the private sector. It's not the government that's going to save the economy. It's the private sector. That's why we set up an economic recovery task force. And I know a lot of people wanted to be in there, but what we did, we took the best minds in the country, the most successful people in the economy, and had them by sectors. And so now they have come with slew of recommendations on things that easy things, quick fix that we can do to be able to get the economy going again. And we just yesterday gone through the second portion of the recommendations. Now we have 8 subcommittees, and all of the recommendations will be broken up into 8 subcommittees. And now I'm giving ministers these subcommittees 2 weeks to be able to come back to government, to cabinet, as to how we're going to implement this.
Go ahead.
PM, I think people need reassurance that it will not be no longer business as usual as we have had over the past so many years. I will not go into which administration, but so many years it was.
You could say the past administration. That is where we have the most glaring examples. The worst corruption that ever taken place have been under the last administration.
But you need to reassure.
I'm not saying that nobody else have been guilty. I'm saying the past 13 years have been the worst this country has ever seen. So I understand the frustration from the unions. I understand the frustration from the Belizean people, that a lot of this could have been averted if the previous government would have taken the right steps.
I think you need to reassure.
Instead of just giving a raise to the unions so that they stop talking about corruption, they should have fought against corruption and do what has to be done.
PM,
they did not do that.
I think
I am assuring the Belizean people, why is it that you think we're doing what you're doing right now? Why is it that you think that we have already presented a motion into the House spelling out what is it that we're going to do? Why is it that you think that we have already changed the composition of the Public Accounts Committee? That's the only committee that is managed or chaired by the opposition. And now we brought in 3 social partners, senators. No, government does not have an automatic majority on that committee. They can have access to what the government has done, and they can expose us. When Julius Espat was the chairman and wanted to get information, the previous UDP ministers or members did not show up, so they do not have a quorum, or they voted on them out. So we are taking the right steps to assure that that does not happen again. We cannot continue to lead the government the way we did before. And we're taking the steps. We've already agreed with the unions. I announced it in the National Assembly that we'll try within a month, although the unions gave us 3 to 6 months to present legislation to get this thing going. But it is unfair on anybody to have expected us that as day one coming, we had the past laws. We had a crisis, we had floodings, we had COVID, we had this financial crisis that has to be dealt with. And we're working on it. We have already said that we're going to set up a commission, a reform commission, whereby we are going to be addressing all of these issues. So we are assuring the Belizean people, but it takes time. When you have mistreated somebody, or when you have lied to your partner, be it at home or in business or wherever, and then suddenly you come and say, no, I want to behave, I want to do better. You will not believe that. You will say, well, I have to see what is it that you're doing. And when you come and start to say, well, to your business partners, all right, see, all of this is what I'm going to do. See the checkbook. See how we're going to be spending the money. Then you start to gain that trust. It will take some time. and I accept that. And sometimes I know it's frustrating on our part, saying, well, that they give us an opportunity. This so-called honeymoon, we never saw a honeymoon because people expect a lot from us, and rightly so. And I want them to continue to pressure us to make sure that we do what is right. And we are going to do what is right.
Prime Minister, that's the reassurance that people need to hear and to feel and to see that you're going to do right by all manner of people, just like the oath that was taken when you're sworn into office, that you will do right by all manner of people.
Rene, we're taking those steps. Look, we have taken cuts in our salaries, cuts in our allowances. We've changed the Public Accounts Committee. We are not hiring people as what they're saying. We've not been buying vehicles as what they're saying. We're not selling assets as to how they're saying. We're putting things in place so that we can collect. We have said that for the people that owe this country their taxes and so forth, we are going to do everything possible to be able to collect. We are reorganizing the Customs Department. We're going to we put new management. And we're already seeing some benefits from it, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We need to be able to put proper structure in Customs Department so that we know that if one container passes out, to ensure that that container has been paid duties. And it takes technology and different forms and systems that we're going to be put in place. I have met with Ms. Langsworth and her team last week at the Belize Tax Service. And again, talking to them as how is it that we could probably even consider putting cash terminals in the different stores to ensure that we collect the proper taxes that we should be collecting. But that takes time.
But PM,
what we have to address the financial crisis that's in front of us. That not take time. That's in front of us.
Yeah. Right. But PM, you need to let people see the vision and share that vision that you're articulating right now, and that is what needs to happen. People,
but we've been doing that, Rene. We've been saying that over and over and over, and we're going to continue.
Keep on saying it, because
we are going to continue to repeat it.
Yeah,
and that's why I need to come more often on your show.
Yes,
so remind Belizean people as to what we are doing right now.
Whenever
the first thing we need to do is to save the dollar. We have to save the pen. We have to make sure that, and to do that, we have to be able to tighten our belt, watch how we're spending money, but work with the private sector. Look at what the Minister of Agriculture has done.
He has done an
amazing job.
He has done a good job.
On November the 12th, because everybody knew he was going to be the Minister of Agriculture, some cattle ranchers said, can we go and sell with cattle? He said, yes, go. What have we done? Through his effort, we have a border exit, and at that border exit, we have customs there, we have immigration there, and we have Baja there. I remember somebody unjustly said, are these people paying their taxes? Well, yes, they're paying their taxes. They pay their fees to Baja. They pay their fees to the Livestock Association. And we don't pay to export. So, but then we have customs registering it. And then we have immigration department ensuring that people, that when they come to buy our stuff, that they just buy and they leave. So, I mean, he gave his report. Several thousands of heads of cattle have already been sold in just a short while. We're selling pork. We're selling chicken, we're selling eggs, we're selling corn, we're selling beans, everything that we can sell. He has gone all the way down to Halate. And they are fighting and calling the Minister of National Security and calling the Minister of Defense, saying, why is the police and the defense harassing our small farmers that have like 5 sacks of black beans, trying to sell it across the border? As I said, the police and the BDF should have held back the sack of corn or beans and carried and helped them to the border so we could sell it. Mm-hmm. He has set up also another area here in the Blue Creek area where Mexicans are not coming to buy from us. The Mexicans are buying chicken. Last month they were buying to the tune of about $20,000 worth of chicken every week. Mm-hmm. That is how we're going to fix this country. It has to be the economy. Creating jobs, creating opportunities, looking at the tax structure and see how we can reduce the tax burden and allow the economy to grow and get people back working and government collecting the just revenues that we're supposed to collect so that we could invest it in education, invest it in tourism. Look at the Ministry of Tourism that we mentioned. The Minister of Tourism have come with his recovery plan. and ensuring that we could open the airport safely. And that's what we have done. If you look at the tourism numbers, they're going a lot faster, growing a lot faster than expected. But that happened because, again, in the Ministry of Health, the Minister of Health, we gave him a mandate, flatten that curve. We flatten the tourism, the COVID curve, so the tourists are coming. A lot of tourists, hotel operators are telling us that they're booked for the summer months. Something that did not happen before. We went to the free zone and said we have to open the free zone. And then some people are criticizing us. Oh, people will get sick. We have not, thank God, knock on wood, not one single person have gotten sick at the free zone because we put the proper protocols to ensure people don't get sick. We have over 1,000 people working there. This is a government that's working. We don't just pontificate on TV and they criticize. We are working. We have to get people working. The best social program that we could put in place is to ensure that people get jobs.
Amen.
To give a Belizean $150 a month is demeaning. To give a Belizean a bag of groceries every other week is demeaning. They want to work, and that's what we're doing. Finding ways, we're working with the BPOs, and they have been expanding. They have been hiring more people. Now we need to make sure now that we have no BPOs that can use even more people and even better paying jobs. That is what we've been doing from day one. We never sit down and cry foul. We fix what is going wrong, and at the same time, we are doing what has to be done.
That's right. And Prime Minister, we got to do what has to be done right now. We need to interrupt for a while here and take a break and then come right back and continue our discussion.
Belize, and good morning. And how are you this morning?
Get up every morning, like go to work from day till night. Get up every morning, like go to work from day till night. I got 7 big feet, and one on the way. I got a wife that's always in need. What a beautiful day, good morning, Billy. What a pretty day, good morning.
It's 14 and a half minutes past 8 o'clock, las 8 de la mañana, 14 minutos, y su piquito. Su piquito. I'm a little bit over it, right?
A little bit over.
Yeah. And Troy, we are talking with the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño. And it's very good to have you online, Prime Minister. But like we said earlier, next time I want to have you right next to me, Prime Minister. right in the studio, yeah. I promise you I'll give you a cup of coffee.
Yes.
I'll make sure you get a cup of coffee and that you're comfortably in the studio.
I'll hold you to that.
All right, okay.
Yeah, Prime Minister, we know this whole concept of nation building and growing the economy and all of that is a significant task. It's a lot of pieces together. And a couple of pieces that came out during the course of this week was, one, the issue as it relates to the 50,000 tons of remaining cane being awarded to Santander, which that sounds extremely revolutionary, and putting together the task force for the citrus industry as well. Mm-hmm. Give us a little insight of what went into the planning to get to that point at this point in time.
Well, as I said, it's all about the economy. I mean, we could talk pretty, and we could just sit down and put our head in the sand and give the unions whatever it is that they want and talk nice to them, and that is not going to put us anywhere. We have to get the economy going. Here in the north, 2 years ago, we have had several years where BSI has been unable to grind all the sugar cane that's on the ground. And once you leave that on the ground, if you can't cut it as soon as the farming crop starts, that cane gets dry and it does not have enough sugar content. And when it gets dry, it's even more difficult to be able to cut it, to be able to replant. So cane farmers have suffered millions of dollars in losses. What the Minister of Agriculture is trying to do is they're trying to do something different. According to the estimates that he got, he's saying that BSI will be unable, based on the number of days left in the crop, that BSI will be unable to grind all the sugar cane. So he's trying to be proactive and saying, well, then he spoke with Santander, and Santander is saying, well, we could take some of that cane, the excess cane, and that is what we're trying to do. Now, I want to assure everyone that we also know that BSI has been our partners for decades, or certainly BSI. And we will not do anything to jeopardize what they're doing. We're going to ensure that they get their amount of cane that they need for this crop, but at the same time allow our farmers to be able to sell any excess cane that they may have. I will be meeting with the managers with BSI along with the minister, and if they can come with compelling evidence to say, well, we can grind this, and we would assure you that our farmers are not going to be left with excess cane, then we will do that. That is our priority, that BSI gets its cane. Looking at citrus, when we got into government, we were told that there were estimates of 2.5 million boxes of citrus. Now that the minister has been on the ground, we're finding out that I think we're going to get almost 1 million boxes less.
Wow.
This was a crisis that the previous government never did address. So again, what do? You go to the people that know it best. Hugh O'Brien has offered himself to come in and to help them, free of cost. And we got some of the best farmers to sit down with government. They set up this committee to see what is necessary to be able to get citrus going back again. citrus has right now very good prices, and so we're losing out on that. And just like we've done that with citrus, we'll do it with bananas. I mentioned the banana growers. They are also giving us some proposals because they also want to expand on the banana grows by about over 4,000 acres. And so that is what we're doing, seeing how we can expand what we have, opening up new markets. Our Minister for Foreign Trade is already in contact with Mexico, looking at how is it that we could have a partial scope agreement with them. We are sending, or I think he was sent already, Ambassador Alpuche, who was the CEO in agriculture in Guatemala, because now Guatemala was, the Belize-Guatemala referendum is important. What is more important now is to ensure that then we can have access to the Guatemalan markets for our products.
In terms of foreign direct investment, and I'll caveat it because we've gone through a period in the last administration where we see a lot of confidence lost in terms of foreign direct investment, especially as it relates to the nationalizations of some of the utilities. Even the Prime Minister at the time says that FDI went down from about 90%. And so what is being put in place now to bring back that level of confidence, the sanctity of contracts, and that sort of feeling that the government is with me in terms of investment? We know there are quite a number of people out there who has their money, who could place it anywhere. Why would they want to place it in Belize, providing that we have a government that supports them?
Creating the enabling environment.
We're doing, it has to be a two-pronged approach, now and to come in long term. As it is right now, Jaime Briceño is the deputy chairperson of Beltrade, and we also have Ambassador, Haissam Diab, who is also in Beltrade, and they have offered themselves. I am the minister responsible for investments, and so they speak for me. And what they do is that investors that are having problems meet with them, they find what is the problem, and then they go to the actual ministry to get it done. We have met with the investors for the Four Seasons at Kichapel, and they had a myriad of issues that were holding back their investments. And so they have Jaime and Haissam and other members of the team are going out to the actual ministries to see what is the bottleneck and trying to address those issues. They're doing the same thing with the Six Senses right off San Pedro, and we're doing that for many other investments. We just met with an investor from Jamaica, I think it's Raintree Forest. What they do, they buy products from the Caribbean, and then they market it in Europe, in the United States, even as far as Japan, China, Taiwan, and get higher prices. So, for instance, down south, they're buying the lobster and they buy it alive. They buy it live, and then they take it to Jamaica, and from there they have their processing facilities, and they sell the lobster for instance, like during the Christmas, the Chinese New Year, they sell live lobster all the way down there. They sell live lobster for Christmas and New Year's in Europe, like in France. And so they have been able to pay our fisher folks as much as 50% more than they would generally get. So now they want to see how they can do more with other products in Belize. And so we've met with them, and now Jaime and Haissam are meeting with the different departments along with them to ensure that we could get this thing going. So these are some of the things that we're doing short term. On the long term, we've gotten, like I said, probably as much as 100 recommendations from the private sector, from what we call the ERAT, the Economic Recovery Action Task Force, on the implementations that we have to do. So we're doing that, amending legislation, putting on new legislation, having a new Companies Act or a new legislation for companies, updating that, having laws for a credit bureau, having laws for be able to use assets as collateral, a collateral registry. We're looking at having laws whereby we can have almost like our own security exchange, where businesses can go through this organization, quite likely the central bank, and say, I have this new business, this my plan, and have then people can invest. So we're doing a lot of things to be able to transform how we do business in Belize, and so that our locals, let's start with the locals, that feel that, you know what, there's an opportunity. We just talked about how we can, yesterday, how we can have micro, small, and medium industries get more opportunities. So I'll be meeting with our people in the Ministry of Investment and Beltrade. How is it that we reach out to the small farm? COVID has changed the way we do business. I mean, look at us right now. This is one example. Many times we have to wake up early in the morning, drive to Belize City to be able to have to be on your talk show. We do it by Zoom. We have small entrepreneurs that started delivery businesses, small entrepreneurs that are selling products online. My son is one of them. He has a business now. He's selling products online. He, along with some other guys, other people, my sons have partnered with a delivery service, and they're expanded. They're in Orange Walk, they're in Bamapan, they're in San Ignacio, they're in Belize City. That is the view. That's what COVID has brought opportunities for us, and we need to grasp those opportunities, and at the same time ensure that the big investors that want to come into Belize, that will make it easy for them to come in and that they could make money. Nobody comes to Belize because they love us. They come because they feel that there's an opportunity and they can make money, but at the same time ensure that our Belizeans also get a fair share. That we no longer be only the ones that fix the bed and go clean the pool and wash dishes. We need to also be partners in a lot of this.
Prime Minister, I support what you're saying there, but business and individuals over the many years of the history of this country have been penalized because of perceived political affiliation, and so I'd like to get that reassurance from you that will not be the case, that businesses will be able to operate freely in this country regardless of their political affiliation or religious or any other affiliation. In other words, that oath that is taken by yourself and the cabinet and the House of Representatives to do good by all manner of people, regardless of who it is, will be upheld. I know we alluded to it earlier, but I would like to hear that again, that the enabling environment will be fair to everyone.
We have to do two things. One, we have to change the culture in government. That our public officers understand that they're to serve the people and to do good by everyone. Irrespective of their political affiliations. For instance, right now, many of our people, our supporters, telling us for the past 13 years we had no access. We couldn't go to BTL and get a job. We couldn't go to BL and get a job, or to any of these utilities because we are PUPs. That kind of thing has to change. But more importantly, we have to strengthen institutions so that politicians would not have easy access to tell them, do this or do that. Once institution, that is the fundamental pillar of every country to be able to prosper, is that we have to strengthen the way we do things in this country. And secondly, that also is tied in by passing the necessary legislation, that if you feel that a government is doing bad by you, then that you can then go to court. So we strengthen the institutions, and then we strengthen the laws to be able to give more cover or to be able to give more protection to citizens of this country, irrespective of their political or religious or sexual or any kind of
belief. We want something that will embrace all, Prime Minister. That's what we want to see.
Have.
And a new positive direction, and not business as usual, but really business that will elevate our country and take it to where it should and could be.
Well, it has not been business as usual as we got in. We have just been out there working and trying to get things going as quickly as we possibly can.
The issue of the Commerce Bight came up several times in the news. The Commerce Bight port down in Dangriga. For some reason, we thought that something was going to happen there, but we heard a little bit of confusion in terms of even ownership. Does the government have a handle on what is going on down there in terms of going forward and for that to have some meaningful benefit to the society?
Well, definitely. Again, these are some of the things that you question what happened. I mean, when the former minister signs without the consent of the minister of cabinet. There's no records in cabinet to show that the cabinet approved what was being done 2 days before the election and signed this long-term agreement with a group. When you hear another group saying, well, I've been jilted out of my investments, obviously it requires a proper investigation. And even I saw even the U.S. Embassy is concerned. So again, this takes time. We just can't just jump up and say this is what we're going to do. I've asked the Public Utilities Commission to give us a comprehensive report as to what has happened. We are getting legal sent on the agreements that the former minister signed just before the election. As you know, Parliament was not in session, so that couldn't even have gone to Parliament for acceptance. We want to fix it. We want to do what is right. And if the people that own it have a good plan that is going to create opportunities for everybody, and it's not a get-rich overnight scheme, then we will work with them. So, again, some people say, well, you're not to move fast enough. Well, when you move fast enough, that is when you make problems, you create problems. So we need to make sure that we do what is right, that we follow the law, and that every time that we make a decision that is on the side of the Belizean people and Belize.
Prime Minister, this is just a straight question from the Facebook feed. And this is just coming back to the whole legal issue as it relates to the past administration. As you had related and spoke about the $1.5 billion, people want to know if there's anything punitively that can be done in terms of those that may have committed that crime that the court had regarded that was done illegally, if want of a better word.
Well, ironically, it is the same former Prime Minister that changed the law. He was the one that put punitive measures against whosoever were to break the law. He put these measures against his own self, and he forgot what he has done. So he can be held responsible and can be charged. The issue is though that the former Chief Justice left whilst he gave a verbal judgment. He did not give one in writing. We do have some other amounts that were spent without proper parliamentary approval. So we want to take a look at all of that and then see how we can move that forward.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Prime Minister, we need to, if we could take one more short break and then we just come right back, because we certainly have a couple more questions and see whether or not we have more feed from the public.
Okay. We'll be right back 32 minutes past 8 o'clock.
work from day till night. Get up every morning, like go to work from day till night. I got 7 big feet and one on the way. I got the wife that always in need. What a beautiful day, good morning, Lily. What a pretty day, good morning, Lily. With the troubles away, good morning, Lily. Get up every morning like
20 and a half minutes to 9 o'clock. Las 9 menos 20 minutos en nuestros estudios. Buenos días, Belize. Good morning, Belize. And thanks for choosing love on a beautiful Wednesday morning. And Troy Gabb, along with yours truly, and of course, online, we have the Prime Minister of Belize, the Honorable John Briceño. Pleasure and an honor to have you, Prime Minister. So let's continue our discussion, sir.
Yes, Prime Minister, very quickly, just a quick question from the Facebook feed as well, is that in reference to the Integrity Commission and,
Yes.
a question of, I think you made mention earlier, you're going to add more resources to make it more effective. But the question primarily is, can you say how many of the members of Parliament have actually submitted to the Integrity Commission?
I wish I could answer that, but I don't. I know that the majority have. Certainly on our side, we have been behind everyone to submit their filings. But I could get you the actual numbers and get back to you.
Have you done so, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Another question in particular, as it relates to government. Well, let me ask this question very quickly. Will the government and union go back to the table at some point in time? That's a question again from the Facebook audience.
Well, we've always said to the unions we're open to talk to them. The budget has passed, and the Senate is going to have another. Today they are going to have their debate, but as you know, the Senate cannot stop a money bill. So the budget has been passed. The 10%, unfortunately, has to be implemented. But we continue to speak with the unions. We see them as partners and even as friends. I mean, like in every family, you don't agree on everything, but that does not mean that they will become enemies. And so we continue to reach out to the unions.
Excellent. We just want to say to our viewers and listeners as well, the Prime Minister has, and we have agreed that we'll take some calls. We'll take some calls as well, and so anybody in the public may have any question other than what we're getting off the Facebook feed.
But one thing we'd like to do, Troy, is to ask callers to be considerate. Because just like how you want to call, there are many other people who want to call, so be considerate in your comments and the length of time you take to ask your questions.
Just as well, quickly, Prime Minister, before any of the callers get through, the issue of the planes. There's a question question of how the plane were not sold. That's really the sort of question there.
Okay, here we go.
But let's take the call. Sorry, go ahead, Prime Minister.
I was going to say the planes were not sold because the people that say I buy it, they never buy it.
Okay.
The planes have gone to auction 2 thimes.
Okay.
Nobody buy it.
Okay.
Thirdly, another person came that they have a client that want to buy it, but they wanted to bring cash. I mean, we can't do no cash
Oh.
Okay.
for our transaction. Fourthly, another lawyer wrote and
Right,
said
now
that
we
they
can
have
answer the question.
a company they want to buy it. And the FinSec said, this is the best offer we have so far. So we said yes, and they still did not buy it.
Okay.
One of the planes that we're protecting right now by the BDF has cost us $100,000 to protect. We need to get rid of their planes as quickly as possible. But when they're accusing us that we're selling assets like crazy, that's wrong, man. It's wrong. I think that these people, some of these people are doing that deliberately to try to confuse the whole matter.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. Go ahead, please. Thanks for
Good
holding.
morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, team.
Morning.
Based on the manifesto that has been pledged by our government, or the government in power right now, we the Belizean people were in the poverty brackets, and those on the poverty line have sons, daughters who have passed 6, 10, 15 CXCs. No financial help is in place. like scholarships that can at least pay half or full tuition for our students. I would like to challenge the Prime Minister. What can be done for us who are poverty line right now? Because we really need help in the case of our sons and daughters. Tuition is very expensive. Can he meet us somewhere halfway or quarter way for the students who have, worked so hard to pass 6, 10, and 15 CXCs?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, certainly I can assure you that education continues to be our priority. And if there are students that have the number of passes that have been set by the Ministry of Education, that they will get whatever assistance that has been promised from before, irrespective of political affiliation.
Okay. Yeah. All right. While we wait for the next call, go ahead.
Yeah, Prime Minister. There is also this the issue of the foreign direct investment and the issue as it relates to ensuring that the ordinary people get a chance to participate in some of these investments. What efforts are going to be made to be able to get access to that level of liquidity that we say is held within the commercial bank system? Some people put it at somewhere around $400 million. How are we going to be able to create that sort of environment? Has there been any thought so far, maybe even on the periphery by say the Economic Recovery Task Force in that area?
Well, we have done something very innovative. We have changed the legislation from central bank to allow the central bank to make some of this money available.
1 second.
The government is putting $10 million and the central bank 40. So we're making $50 billion available, and we are going to lend that to, we can lend to as much as 200 businesses, micro, small, medium, and large businesses that have been damaged by COVID. This is not to get you out of financial distress because you are mismanaging. It is because of COVID. And it has to be able to create jobs, bring in foreign currency. So we're looking at agriculture, BPOs, and tourism to make these monies available. So that is going to be the interest rate. It is going to be like about 5% per annum, and we're going to extend it for at least 5 years to give some kind of cash flow to people to allow them to be able to get back on their feet.
Okay, Carla,
so we are doing something.
Great.
Thanks for waiting, Carla. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
From the sale of cattle, how much in taxes has the government received so far from the sale of cattle? Take
You
care.
don't
Thanks.
tax the sale
thanks.
of anything that's exporting the country. What they do is that they have to pay their fees to Baja. Baja will check that everything is fine. They pay their fees to the Livestock Association. But what Belize benefits from is that then we get foreign currency into the country that helps us to be able to have more money to be able to continue either to invest or to import.
Okay, let's take the call. Love, can I help?
Hi, good morning.
And by the way, it's one more thing.
Oh,
The
one second, Carla.
they pay their
You want to
income
make a
tax. The farmers pay their income tax at the end of the year, so they do pay their taxes
Okay, go ahead, Carla.
if they make a profit.
Go ahead.
Okay, good morning again. I have 2 questions. Firstly, when the budget was read, I heard $60 million being proposed for the pavement of the Coastal Road and the Caracol Road. So I was wondering why that can't be on hold. Yes, the roads are important, but right now the economy is more important. So why couldn't that be diverted and used for the moment, at least for 1 year, so that we wouldn't have to get that 10% cut? And secondly, if we're losing 10%, then why can't we get something in return for it, like a piece of land? I mean, I don't own any land, and I would love to have a piece of land. So I don't see why that couldn't get into, the negotiations that were going on. So I'm going to come off now for the Prime Minister to respond.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. With these loans that we're getting for the Coastal Road and the Caracol Road, we can't take those loans and use it for pay salaries. The financial institutions will not allow us to do that, one. Secondly, we agree that we can't take on all the loans that the UDP left behind. Remember, these loans were signed on before we came in.
Could you hold for me?
And so,
1 second,
what
please,
have we
to answer
done?
the question.
We have to do the coastal road simply because a large portion, about $13 million, I think, if I remember right, is a donation. So if we don't do that road, we're going to lose that money. So we have to try to finish that. With the Caracol Road, what we have done, we have the second portion of the Caracol Road supposed to start this new financial year. And we have said to the contractor, and we have said even to OPIC, the international institution that is lending us the money, that we can't afford it right now. We could not do the counterpart funding. And we can't continue to increase debt to GDP. So we are foregoing that loan for this year until the next year. The highway, fixing the highway and the Remate Road on the northern highway and going to the border, to the Mexican border, we're doing that again because we are getting free money. We have to borrow a part, but a portion is free money. And if we don't do it now, we're going to lose that free money. So we are not taking on loans, or only, and also the Caracol Road, that loan, we configure that loan and we are saving $28 million of the $140 million. Also for first-time landowners, just like teachers, and then they're taking a cut, we have over 65,000 people that get zero. They don't get nothing. So we are coming up with a program for first-time landowners, and we do believe that our public officers should get access to land. When the unions came up and saying, well, how about if we can get some kind of land, we agreed to that. But we can't agree to give every single person 15,000 lots. What about the rest of the people? We want to ensure that first-time landowners have access, and our public officers should have a priority. So I do support that.
Love, can I help?
Yeah, morning, Renee and Troy.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for holding.
Morning.
Yeah, Mr. Castillo and we are here. Sir, I'm going to be quick with this as much as I can, but this is a serious issue we have in terms of starting up business or getting business off the ground. I've heard the past Prime Minister yourself is asking all those who have to deal with the starting up a business to please put an ease on certain things so the businesses can get started. The economy is bad, no? And I've been waiting for years to get an approval. The stringent measures, the CBA, stringent and expensive for small business people, sir. And I have gotten a plan rejected again for about the 5th time because of the kind of stringent measure they require. And it's not only stringent, but it's expensive for us as a small businessman to overcome. No, not because you present a plan of a certain size, it means that you have money, but you have a dream, you have a plan. And for me to access the lending institution, I need the approval from Central Building Authority and Local Building Authority. The mayor, this present mayor, has been very instrumental in trying to get me off the ground on this in Dangriga here, no? And I am preparing a letter, sir, that and I'm hoping that I get your attention and the attention of the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure to see if I could meet with you to find out if something can be done in terms of giving us an ease and small businesses.
Okay,
in terms of CBA.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will ask the Minister, Julius Espat, who is himself an architect, to take a quick look at it. We have spoken about that already. He has brought it up in cabinet that we have to make sure that the CBA will be accessible to all, and not that you can't have one size fit all. So we have to address that. If the person that called, if he could call you gentlemen, give his number to you guys. You pass me the number, and I'll make sure that somebody call him to be able to fix that problem.
Okay, excellent.
Go ahead, Colin. Hello, go ahead, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Go ahead.
The thing is that I used to work at Ministry of Education now. The last couple of months they gave us our letter saying that they will pay us and everything. But from that, we haven't heard anything back from the Ministry of Education. Whenever we call, there is some kind of excuse happening within the office. Huh? So I'm just trying to see what's happening there for years of service that we served there.
Okay, I will take a look at that. I know a number
Okay,
of
so
teachers
thanks.
have called me having problems in getting their funds, and I'd have to go and talk to the financial secretary. A lot of times it's just the bureaucracy, and also a part of it has also been the non-performance of the public the Public Service Commission that have been deliberately undermining our work. And so, but we're addressing that pretty soon. We'll be able to put in a new Public Service Commission that will be able to move these things very quickly. And so once that is moved, then we make sure that the Ministry of Finance pay these people as quickly as possible, because it's the money that they have earned and they deserve.
I guess you briefly touched on this, Prime Minister, as it relates to the collection of outstanding monies that are owed for taxes. The Facebook feed basically want to know, how quickly are these going to be moved on, that is alleged that is out there to be collected. And I think we heard a lot of it being touted about by the discussion with the unions. And I know you've touched on it, but maybe this person may have missed it.
Very quickly, as I pointed out earlier, it is not the ministers that collect taxes. It's the public service. It's the people in the Belize tax service. They are the ones that are supposed to be out there collecting taxes. I can assure you, and I will challenge anyone, I have not called the Belize tax service at no time to tell them, don't collect from anybody. We need to go there and to collect. But also we need to collect what is legally there, because in many instances, they throw large numbers at them, and then there's a back and forth in trying to settle as to what's supposed to be collected. That's one. Secondly, what we're working on right now is we're working on setting up a tax recovery unit. So a tax recovery unit that will be able to work across all sectors, from looking at land taxes, stamp duty taxes, and even collecting of taxes from the Belize tax service. So that there could be proper coordination and not duplication of efforts. We're trying to be as effective and efficient to be able to collect the taxes. So we are working on that.
The Superbond, any update on the Superbond in terms of the possible negotiation that might be taking place?
Hold on a while. Since that's our question, we could maybe take the call first. Love, can I help?
Yes, good morning, Dr. Renee. Good morning, Love Payment. Congratulations to the Prime Minister on his efforts to steer the economy forward in these very hard times. I would like to press emphasis if there is enough being done by the Financial Intelligence Unit, the FIU, to investigate former ministers on resources that could have been diverted from our country to foreign bank accounts. Congratulations, Prime Minister, on your very good efforts. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. But I think it's important to say that we cannot use the FIU as to do our political work. I think the FIU does investigations when a case is brought up in front of them. They just can't decide and say, well, I also like this person, make me go investigate him. The law does not allow that.
Carla, could you
but they have started a few investigations, but I'm not allowed to. The law does not allow me to be able to give any kind of detail. But I do know I've been brought to my attention because we're in the Ministry of Finance, where they are attempting to get some kind of information.
Okay.
That's it.
Love, can I help? Go ahead, Carla.
Can I ask the Minister one question, please?
Excuse me?
Go to the Minister one question. One question.
Go ahead.
Ask a question.
How much frontline workers, right?
How much what?
How much frontline workers?
Uh-huh.
We were promised October relief because we're working in the Ministry of Health from last year, and we haven't get it from yet. We haven't get it yet, and we are still waiting.
Oh, okay. It sounds like they're talking about there was a talk to compensate frontline workers sometime, Prime Minister, under the past administration, and they're saying they haven't gotten that compensation that was promised to them. You aware of any such situation?
Well, we know about the issue of the overtime, and certainly, for example, the Calhushna, we just approved, I think, over $900,000 in overtime. I want to assure the frontline worker that if there is monies that we owe to them, we will ensure that they get paid, because we have to be extremely grateful to the frontline workers. More than of the 15,000 government employees, the ones that we have to be most grateful are the frontline workers, because they stood in the front
right now.
When we did not know how COVID was going to react, and people were going to get very, very concerned. You know don't know what happened to COVID. Well, they stayed in the front line, they stayed in the hospitals, and they took care of our people. So we have to ensure that we also do the same for them.
Okay. Excellent. Go ahead, Carla.
Morning, Prime Minister.
Morning.
Superbond, I think Trevor asked the question just now with the suggestion using a new instrument and renegotiate with the Superbond holders. Because none of the Superbond holders are original Superbond holders. And that I understand that the one who own it right now, they are actually buy it at 50 cents on the dollar. So by giving a new instrument from the maybe central bank or U.S. Treasury note or something in replace of the Superbond, automatically it would save like 15 million. I think try to up it the number like 15 million US a year, just an interest payment alone. So I don't know if I could comment on that and try. We discussed it, so be engaged with the Prime Minister. I come off the line now.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Very quickly on the Superbond. Unlike what the previous government was doing, was just kicking the can down. We have started the negotiations with them. Basically, I will tell you in layman's terms, we're saying we don't have the money to pay you. And we are going to negotiate very strongly in trying to get a haircut or to reduce the amount that is outstanding, so that then we can come up with a better long-term payment, something that we can afford. And I do believe that we will be able to save money for this country.
Okay. Go ahead, Carla.
A pleasant good morning to Chief.
Morning.
Troy.
Morning.
A pleasant good morning, Honorable. I must say thank God that I can speak to you guys this morning. All right?
Yes, go ahead.
But my views that I'm going to pass is my views and my views only. And what I'm about to say, I have the facts. I'm not idle saying this, but I know for a fact, Prime Minister, that some of the unions are playing politics. I'm not going to ask because I have the facts. All right, I've spoken to one or two of the leaders, and what I'm hearing from them, there's nothing they personally can do, but they are the leaders, so they have to go with what the members are saying. And like what I said, I have the facts. Right? I'm feeling very, very hurt because, you know, they are not thinking about the layman on the ground. Because what about the people that are not part of the union and thing that is in the nation? Right? I can first tell them there are people out here that need a lot of stuff as well. Not only them. Yes, I feel their pain, but all of us, from last year March, I've lost my job. You know? I haven't got any assistance as yet, but you know what? I understand and I will wait. Right? I can do what I do at my best because I pray every day. And Chief is part of my prayer warrior that prays with me. So, you know what? Let us pray in this nation. We need God. That's the perfect answer. Let God be our answer in this nation to heal our wounds and to fix whatever needs to be fixed. I call on you, Prime Minister, fall on your knees, and God will be your answer. All right? That is what I have to offer this morning.
Okay? Thank you very much. The last thing I do every night is I give thanks to the Almighty for life and for my family and for beliefs, and I ask for guidance. I do not have the answer, and I ask the Almighty to guide me to be able to make the right decisions for this country, for everyone. But the caller made a very important point, that here we are trying to protect the jobs from our public service. We could have taken the easy way out and said, okay, fire 3,000 persons. In good conscience, we can't do that. How about those tacos vendors that have not been able to sell for about a year? What happened to them? Nothing. Were we government giving them a salary because they're not working anymore? No. All of those thousands of small businesses. But now we've allowed them to be able to open, so now they're out there selling. We've just agreed again yesterday in Cabinet that we're going to expand the outside dining in restaurants, outside dining by 75%. And then inside dinings, well, now we're allowed for them to have as much as 50%. We need to get people back to work. And so these are some of the, but we even agreed on with the churches that we will allow no churches to go from the 1 hour to 2 hours of prayer and service on Sundays. So I want to thank the caller for what the caller said about the issue about how about the smart people that do not have a job. We're trying to do everything possible to get them going also, for them they could also work and protect the workers of the public service.
Sure.
Okay, love, good morning. Can I help?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Just go ahead, caller. You're on a delay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, man. Good morning. Go ahead.
Prime Minister, I want to share with you this morning on some of the things that you are saying. I know that the government only has 5 months.
Got feedback in the background.
Listen, lower the radio that's on behind you, please. Lower the radio that's on behind you. Because we're hearing two things.
I cannot see any corruption going on with this administration. That is the reason why I believe in the Prime Minister, and these are the People's United Party that is in power today. As for the lady that called, I am 100% supporting on what she's saying. Because of the fact the way they are moving and the way they do things, the union are doing things. The government is trying their best to work out things with them doing the top of the greatest ability they can, and they are not listening to the government. This is a government of 5 months. Why the union didn't step up when the Prime Minister was
Could you kindly get to your question, Father?
$1.5 billion. So, Mr. Johnny, I want to say we, the citizens of this country, is 100% behind you, along with the People's United Party and the administrator. I think that the union need to take a back seat and behave themselves. So that's all I have to say today. And I want to make sure that the union work with this government to let us have a better country. Mr. Johnny, we need to see arrests made of that opposition. Make arrests of that opposition. That is what we are waiting on, and we will be behind you all 100%.
Okay,
thanks. Corrupted self. The UDP corrupted that they never go match and out.
Thanks for calling, Father. The Prime Minister needs for campaign right now. He's the Prime Minister. Thanks for calling, Lord.
Yes.
Go ahead, Prime Minister.
No, I mean, he was just expressing support, and as I'm showing people that we're doing what is right. Once you know in good conscience that you're doing the right thing for the country, then all we need now to do, and this is where I think we fell down, that we were not aggressive in getting out our message as to what we're doing. We need to do more of that, and that's why yesterday I also appealed to our ministers. We need to be on the shores and show all the good work that we have been doing. Look at the security service, the Ministry of Police, whereby we seem to be getting things under order. For here now, every now and again, we have something flaring up, but they are out there quickly. You had too much now about abusing citizens. We have to change that kind of culture. I've said about the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Agriculture, in the Ministry of Immigration. We're getting a new passport system because the system that we have is antiquated, it's obsolete, and but this one now will be more up to date. Having biometrics is going to make it so much easier for you to be able to travel into countries like Europe and other countries that demand this. So we're doing a lot of work in the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education, Minister Fonseca, has spent countless hours meeting with the different school managements and with the BNTU to make sure that we could open the schools safely. We decided that teachers have to be vaccinated or need to be vaccinated early, so we made that available to teachers so that they will be able to go to teach and feel safe, because we have to get our children back to school. I am appealing to the teachers right now. I know you feel slighted, and I know that you feel that it's injustice and that it's not right, and I understand. I may not agree with you, but I understand. But I am appealing to teachers that more than ever, our children need you in the classroom. So when you're out there saying that you're striking and you're not going to be teaching the children, you're not punishing the government, you're punishing the children. They are the ones that are going to be punished. Some schools, as I've spoken again to some principals, I met to the council of churches. Some of schools have been doing assessments for their students, and as much as 90% of our students are not in par to where they're supposed to be right now. So what we did is we were trying to open up most of the schools. I think it's by the 10th, of May, so that we could start to help these children to catch up, because you may send them a package at home. That's the easy part, sending them a package. But in many instances, the children do not have the support that is necessary in the home. Their parents are out there working, or out there trying to find something to do, something to hustle. Or in many instances, the parents don't even know the subject matter that is in front of them. So I'm appealing to the teachers to go into the classroom, to come. It is about the students. It's not about me. I don't finish at university and all of that. It's about the children that we have to help.
Okay.
And so we're in this thing together, man.
Yeah,
we're in this thing together.
Prime Minister, this will be our last call because of time. I know you have our next appointment.
I
want to thank you for carrying on with us. And I don't want to get late, and I don't want to speed on the road neither.
I don't have breakfast yet.
Oh my goodness, neither have we. But I understand how you feel too, because I'm hungry too. But
it's worth it. It's necessary.
Yeah, but so we'll take this as our last call. Let me just say, go ahead, Colin. It's our last call for the morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I would like to say thank you, Prime Minister, for giving us the opportunity to see you and speak to you personally. I do appreciate it's tough that at this point COVID has put us in a dilemma. But I know that the 10% is automatic. But I would hope that maybe you may consider something like this. Maybe for us to take on the strain, maybe you think about 5% this year, and then the next year maybe 10%, like what you said, so we can make adjustments as individuals within our home. Because I can only tell you that I've been a teacher for over 23 years. I've won the Teacher of the Year award. But I went away to study. Okay. And on returning home, because I still remain a teacher, then my master's degree worth nothing. So I invested $48,000 going away to the US. Now, on returning home, okay, I was offered a little position in leadership, but they said, okay, if I want to maintain that job, then you will need to have leadership. So I decided, okay, let me go and study again.
You have a question for the Prime Minister?
Tomorrow, because of time.
Okay.
I can't keep the Prime Minister longer.
I'm just saying that, like this, that he's asking for us to go and be in there. I'm teaching. However, I'm asking that maybe you think about those teachers who will have master's degree in schools in the future when things get better, that those teachers' salary may be adjusted to scale 17 and scale 8. You have principals who are 19 and 21, but why aren't teachers getting those things? We have to always improve on our license. It's not like in the private sector that they have to go and improve. We have to go and improve every time, or else we don't maintain our license. We have seen good teachers who have lost their job.
Okay.
But thank you, and I'm going. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for calling too, and thanks for being patient.
To the teacher, I want to congratulate him on making that extra effort to get a master's degree. And I want to assure him that no education is worthless. I mean, one way or the other, it means something. But yes, I can see the concern about their salaries being adjusted based on their education. And I've certainly asked Minister Fonseca to take a look at it. We have looked at the issue if we could do a 5% or 8% cut as opposed to a 10%. But the point is that we have to do the 10% now because we don't have money. We don't have the money to be able to pay salaries. This new financial year, we have to still borrow about another $100 million to pay salaries, not about capital projects, to build streets and highways or schools, and I'm not talking, that is borrowed money to pay salaries. The fundamental, the number one, the golden rule of any business, as you all know, Chief,
of
and put on your hat as your son, no, that the manager, you don't retire.
But one thing
the golden rule is that you need to be able to collect enough to be able to pay your salaries.
That's right.
To pay your light bill, to pay your rent. Because if you can't do that, then you're out of business.
You cannot capitalize your recurrent expenditure, sir.
Exactly.
And
that is what we've been doing. The Borough Administration have been doing that for the past 2 fiscal years. They borrowed $700 million to be able to pay their recurrent expenditures. And so we're trying to explain what we've been explaining to the unions. We can't continue to do that. If we continue to print more money, because that's what we're doing, we're printing money, we're going to have hyperinflation and we're going to have a devaluation. Now there is an economist that has been going around on the talk shows, and I want to challenge that individual. I'm not no economist, so I would not say that I know more than him. When he's saying that if we cut salaries, we're going to reduce demand, and it's going to have an adverse effect on the economy. I am not going to argue on that. Short term, he is perfectly right. But long term, 6 months from now, when we run out of US dollars and we can't pay CFE, Comisión de Electricidad in the United States, in Mexico, for electricity, and they cut off electricity, you think people want to hear the explanation about how we may have to pay salaries? Or that we don't have money to be able to pay our US dollars to pay for the fuel that's coming into the country, and that everything is going to be locked down, or we can't pay for the food that's being imported. And that is what I'm trying to explain to this economist, that whilst he is right with what he's saying, but we need to look at the overall picture as to what is more important. We need to protect that US dollar. We need to make sure, or the peg, we need to make sure that we can get back to financial sustainability, which we are not. So to the teacher, I say, I understand. Believe me, I understand. In our business, we had to do some cuts in salaries, and we took no pleasure in doing that. Chief, you had to do it at Love FM. Yeah. Everybody has been taking cuts. When I met with the Council of Churches, they were telling us they have taken a cut. It's not something that they rejoice, but they have to do to be able to keep going. And the public service is no different, because all of us, you, Rene, Troy, me, and everybody, when we pay our taxes, we're using that to pay the public service.
Exactly.
So we're asking for the public service to help us through this year. We've even said, let's meet every 6 months. And if we see that we're improving and getting to a position where we could start to give increments before the 3-year target that we set, we're prepared to do that. But right now, we need you. We need you to help to get through this tough financial position that the UDP left us. Not only COVID, the UDP, they created a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Prime Minister.
Certainly, we went way over time.
We went over time, and I know you have this to the clock up. I know you rush on the road, Prime Minister, but I don't know if you got a minute to say a final comment or a final greeting to the nation before you leave. And thank you for being our guest this morning.
Since August 2nd, 2019, when I got into that unfortunate accident, I've learned that speeding does not get you anywhere. So we drive safely. So I want to assure I'm not going to be speeding like a madman. Mm-hmm. But I want to finish, first of all, by thanking you, both of you, for affording me the opportunity to be able to talk about our side of the story. What is it that we're doing, what we encountered, what we're doing, and where we're going. And also to the Belizean public, and for all of those that are listening and watching us on TV, I want to thank them for taking their time out to listen to us. But I want to assure them that we are doing what is right. No government want to take these tough decisions. Dean Barr did not want to take this decision. He said it that he grieves for the new government because he knows that he has messed up the finances of the country and somebody have to clean it up. Well, we are cleaning it up. We take no pleasure of doing it, but we have to do it. But what is important that we have a plan going forward as to how we're going to get to fiscal sustainability, controlling the cost, looking at the government, the debt to GDP. We have a goal that by 2025, debt to GDP is going to be at 85%, and by 2030, it's going to be at 70%. So that's the second part of the debt. We have also revenue resilience, that we're out there setting up the tax recovery unit to be able to go aggressively to collect the taxes, but also to be able to grow the economy, create opportunities, and to be able to collect more taxes. And the fourth pillar is the issue of transparency and accountability in government, making the fundamental changes, strengthening the government institutions so that whenever a government changes, these institutions continue to work, and putting in the necessary laws to ensure that no government, no politician or public officer can go into government and rip off the Belizean people. We are doing what is right. We're asking the Belizean people to help us, to join us in this journey. And I'm appealing to the public officers. You are a major part in us, for us to be able to have success, because you are the ones that do the day-to-day work. And we're asking you to please help us and to work with us for us to be able to get a Belize that works for everyone. Because as I said earlier in our campaign, that we want to have a Belize where everybody wins. And by the end of our 5 years, we'll be able to prove to you that everybody won under a government of the People's United Party.
Thank you,
thank you, guys, and God, we continue to pray for God's blessings.
Thank you, Prime Minister, and all the best.
Sure. Okay. Well, Chief, certainly there was an extensive interview with the Prime Minister. I think we covered a significant amount of areas, wide gamut of issues that relate to the economy, both what he found and going forward in terms of the plan going forward. So I think comprehensively, anybody listening to the full show could get an idea of where we started, where we're at, and where we're going. So I think, in a nutshell, it is for people to be able to delve into that now and dissect and see how we're progressing in terms of a report card going forward. But certainly we appreciate the fact that the Prime Minister spent the time, extended time at that.
Extended time,
and as well,
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Certainly want to take this opportunity, of course, to thank all our callers who called in. Certainly want to thank Karen on radio, Chief, Julia, our producer, our master control operator, Victor Quinones, and Andrew for streaming. Certainly want to thank the Prime Minister for giving us the time and to be so candid in the discussion, because that makes the whole conversation more forthright, and at the same time start to develop the level of trust that cancel out that level of cynicism that normally exists surrounding governments. That because historically people have experienced these sort of situation, and because of that they have become extremely cynical when it comes to government. So hopefully that this is on the road to developing those issues, or to removing those issues of trust and developing that level of confidence that the system works.
Yeah. Try, in going through some of the comments on Facebook, I noticed that there's a direct question being asked. If we have pulled the ads. I think
we mean who? We Love FM?
Love FM. We pulled the ads. Well, let me tell you, no, we're not pulled the ads.
No.
All right? Because we addressed that this morning, and I think we were very clear when we addressed that this morning. Right? And so I just want to tell the person who
asked the
question that we stand by our mission statement, which clearly says, right, that our programming will be innovative, and I'm quoting from it, and inspire change towards a better way of life for our people. We'll adhere to strict business principles leading to the self-sustainability of the company and enhancements of its staff, which it recognizes